So that was actually a re-upload, and the comment was from when we originally went over Masons or Freemasons in the encyclopedia. They did end up giving me the other account where the videos originally were, so I will have that tagged. Make sure to follow me there, but I'm going to go ahead and go over it here as well. Masons, an abbreviated term for Freemasons, or the members of an order, fraternity, or brotherhood forming a secret society or series of affiliated societies called lodges, now existing in all the countries of Europe, in all parts of North America, and in other parts of the world where Europeans have settled in larger or smaller communities. The order is founded on and professes the practice of social and moral virtue, truth, charity in its most extended sense, brotherly love, and mutual assistance being inculcated in its members. It possesses an elaborate ritual or series of rituals, numerous grades of officers, and many secret signs and passwords by which members may make themselves known to other members of the craft in any part of the world. The official title of the order is the Ancient Free and Accepted Masons, sometimes shortened to Free and Accepted Masons, and abbreviated AF and AM, or F and AM respectively. This is a Freemason's Bible, a Master Mason Bible from 1924. And as you can see, it says the F and AM. There are 3 principal degrees in Masonry, namely Apprentice, Fellow Craft, and Master Mason, with appropriate ceremonies for initiation into each degree, and it is only on attaining the degree of Master Mason that a brother enjoys the full benefits and privileges of the craft. Modern Freemasonry is called by members of the craft speculative Masonry to distinguish it from the operative Masonry of ancient times and especially of the Middle Ages, when Mason brotherhoods were organized in corporations substantially similar to the old other guilds of workmen governed by rules of their own and recruited from a body of apprentices who had undergone a period of probationary servitude. Fable and imagination have traced back the origin of Freemasonry to the old Roman Empire, the Pharaohs, the Temple of Solomon, or even the times of the Tower of Babel and the Ark of Noah. But the Masonic craft, or operative Masonry, in reality sprang into being about the same time and from the same set of causes as other incorporated crafts, but a variety of circumstances combined to give it an importance and influence beyond the rest. In the Middle Ages, men skilled in the hewing and setting of stones were naturally prized in the church building period. Their vocation necessarily involved traveling from place to place in search of employment. Wherever a great church or cathedral was built, the local masons had to be reinforced by a large influx of craftsmen from other parts, and the masons from neighboring towns and districts flocked to a spot and took part in the work, living in a camp or huts erected beside the building on which they were engaged. A master mason presided over the whole, and every 10th man was a warden having supervision over the rest. As a mason therefore must travel from place to place in quest of work, it became desirable or necessary to devise means whereby a person once a member of the fraternity might be universally accepted as such without being required wherever he went to give fresh evidence of his skill or having to undergo a renewed examination on his qualifications. In order to accomplish this end and to enable a mason traveling to his work to claim the hospitality of his brother masons on his way, a system of symbols was devised in which every mason was initiated and which he was bound to keep secret. This symbolism, invented for the convenience of intercourse between members of the same craft and the basic idea of modern Masonic symbolism. As a craft, the operative Masons were under the especial protection of the church and clergy, and the epithet free was applied to them because they were exempt from the laws which regulated common laborers and from various burdens which were thrown on the working classes at large, both in England and on the continent of Europe. Isn't that convenient that they didn't have to follow the laws? Modern or so-called speculative Freemasonry has been described as an innocent mystification unconnected either with the building craft or the architecture other than the building of a man. It is of British origin and dates from the 17th century with brotherly love, relief, and truth as its distinguishing tenets. Charles II and William III were Masons, and the appearance of a connection with operative Masonry was maintained by the election of the Sir Christopher Wren, builder of St. Paul's Cathedral, to the office of Grand Master. Since that time, several members of the British royal family have headed the order in Britain, and the Duke of Connaught, uncle of King George V, was Grand Mason in 1923. The Grand Lodge of England was formed in 1717, and within 20 years, organized masonry had spread to the continent of Europe and to many British colonies, including in 1730 those in America. Benjamin Franklin became a member of St. John's Lodge in Philadelphia in 1731. George Washington was a master of the Virginia Lodge, and many of the subsequent presidents have been Masons. The total membership of the order in 1922 in the United States was 2,675,900 in Canada. Okay. Oh, I see. Excuse me. So the United States had 2,675,900. And then in Canada, there was 151,373. In Great Britain and Ireland, 380,000. In continental Europe, 75,000. In Latin America, 13,730. And in Australia, 109,338. And remember, this would have been obviously in the early 1920s because these were printed in 1927. Allied organizations, besides the Masonic bodies conferring to the 3 fundamental degrees of Masonry in the United States known as Blue Lodges, there is a large number of allied bodies, including chapters of Royal Ark Masonry, with which camaraderies of Knights Templar confer additional degrees that constitute what is known as the York Rite, consistories of the Scottish Rite, conferring degrees from the 4th to the 32nd, with an additional honor degree, the 33rd, conferred by election for distinguished services to the fraternity, and the mystic shrine, sometimes called the playground of Masonry, to which Knights Templar and 32nd degree Masons alone are eligible. The Order of the Eastern Star, principally composed of women, has no connection with Masonry, save it is the fact that only Masons or near relatives of Masons are admitted to membership. Hold on. Many Masonic homes, hospitals, schools, and orphanages are maintained by the fraternity throughout the United States, in which each of the 48 states has its own Grand Lodge with independent jurisdiction. Okay, hold on. Here's my Master Mason Bible, and you can see this one is way thicker than this one. Okay, let's just go ahead and take a look. George Washington, the fatherhood of God, the brotherhood of man. All the symbolism, like it's literally everywhere. Okay, just hold on. There's the York Rite, Record of Brotherhood. Eastern Star International Headquarters General. Like, why? If it has nothing to do with it, Scottish Rite Temple. It shows you all through the degrees of the Scottish Rite Masonry to the 33rd, which is the Sovereign Grand Inspector General degree. And then Order of the Eastern Star. But yes, they have nothing to do with Masonry. Then there's also this other thing that most people don't know about, which is the Order of the Rainbow for girls. And this is for daughters or young girls who are related to either Masons or Eastern Stars. And this talks all about like getting them ready for the ritual, what happens step by step, how they go through, like they each wear a different color of the rainbow. But look, it's a rainbow attached to a pot of gold with a chain. Like, if that isn't super fucking weird. Anyways, I know that was a long video. What should we go over next?